Welcome back to a family business podcast. Today, we are going to talk about the return of the professional agent.
Did they leave?
They did.
They did.
Where did they go?
Well, it started, we've talked about this in our previous podcast.
It's so fun to give Brad a hard time when it's his topic.
Right around COVID, remember?
Why did it happen, Brad?
Well, that's what this whole podcast is about. So we will jump right into this. So the bar for being a real estate agent during the COVID era, and I'm going to call the COVID era 2020 through basically 2023. Okay.
Agree.
Rates
PT, do you agree?
were low.
Yes.
Everything was moving really quickly. And in one of our last podcasts, our last one actually, we had talked about in 2020 was actually kind of a tricky year, right? That was the year when a lot of agents got really nervous and they just didn't work or all the rest of that. And the market actually for about a month or two, there wasn't a whole lot of activity.
I think they just got frozen because they listened to the news. And then there was people like us, and I mean, even though I bought Amazon out of rubber gloves,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer,
Yes, we have
booties.
videos. We have videos.
What else did I mean, Brad was like, why are you buying all that stuff? I said, I think the world's going to shut down. And I think we're going to have these things to be able to show a house. And you thought I was insane?
Toilet
did.
paper.
All the things.
Yeah.
I think there's still some in our garage.
Oh yeah. There was, moving, so kind of towards the end of it when things were starting to become lax. I remember, there had to be 2 tubfuls full of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We're moving from storage unit to storage unit.
Yeah, that was pretty much right in your college days. And
yeah, because
when
you were
interning.
interning.
That's
Yes.
exactly right.
But the good news is, just so everybody, the thing is like, you got to be prepared, right? You got to take care of your clients. And we
Sure.
made sure we were prepared, maybe over prepared.
Yeah.
So we must have been the professional agent then?
I think we were.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we always have been. So what my whole topic here is, though, is this current market has actually raised the bar of what it takes to be a real estate agent. We're back in the 2019 era.
We're in the post-COVID
where
era.
you have to have skill, right? And you have to know the market. You're no longer just an order taker. You're back to being a real estate advisor. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Like, what we remember from 2020 to 2023 with the rates being really low. And
Yeah, I would even say like mid 2024 to early 2025, like people were getting away, and when we think about getting away with stuff, putting listings on the market, sticking a sign in the yard and it's sold within the next 3 days.
terrible pictures. And,
Right.
Yep.
You don't have to do anything to your home. You don't have to get it ready because your address is going to sell your property.
Yeah.
And the only solution that agents had, and I'm sure that we're going to get into this, is just, let's just drop the price. Let's just drop the price. Let's just drop the price.
Well, and they didn't even have to. Right?
No. PT's saying we're talking about the end of 2024 into the beginning of 2025. The prices were starting to adjust a little bit, but these agents that had gotten the business during COVID that just could stick a sign in the yard and take 3 pictures with their iPhone and then get 20 offers on a property. I have no clue what they were doing in negotiating an offer, but take an offer. That the days of that were gone, right?
Oh, yeah,
they didn't
100%.
have to have any professionalism, to your point, in regards to how to market the property because it just sold on its own.
Well, and the importance of pricing a home too. There was a clear, evident time where I would probably say last fall was when you first started to see it, when homes started to sit on the market in our market for about more than a week or 2, price drop. It was evident that, that there was no research done, no conversation done, and people were freaking out. And the thing you just relied to is, we have to drop the price.
And, we've talked about this before.
What are we doing over here with your microphone?
I just like hold.
You're starting to make me nervous.
We can get you an attachment where you can hold it.
Wait, an attachment where I can hold it?
Yeah, so it's not this crazy big thing.
I would like it to be just taller. That's all. So I don't have to bend over. I'd like it to be taller. So it's like this. Anyway, those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, which is probably most of you, you don't even know what we're talking about.
That's
but
probably
anyway,
a good thing right now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But anyway, now you made me forget what I was going to. No, I know. So most of you know that Brad and I got into the business with Brad in 2007, 2008, when the market literally tanked, crashed. And average days on market was like, I don't even know, 120. It was just stupid. And I can remember back then, this is when, I was still learning the business, obviously, during that time. because I got licensed in 2007. But I can remember like those first couple of years, I can remember like people saying, we'd call, and if you're calling me, like, or what's going on in the house or whatever. And then, Brad would kind of give them a little update. Well, if the next thing you're going to tell me to do is to drop my price, then I'm just going to go find a new agent. But I was like, no, I'm not calling to tell you to drop the price. I'm just giving you an update where we're at. Yep. What's going on with anybody who's looked at it, which back then was like maybe one person a month would look at your property.
Yeah.
And that meant you were doing your job and there just wasn't people, out there buying. So I think that that's what teaches when you say, the professional agent, like, when you've lived that, you understand. I mean, for us, it's been like a carnival really during COVID, right? Because we were
up
like,
and down.
Wow,
yeah.
Like I don't have to spend a year. I mean, there was times we would spend so much money marketing a property that we would like be a net negative by the time it sold.
4 seasons of pictures and all of it, right?
Well, and you had to have a plan. Like you had to have a layout of what you were going to do that, hey, we'll probably get a lot of activity the first couple of weeks, but if you don't get an offer, don't worry about it. The average market time is about 2 months. I mean, can you even imagine this in even 2026? But I will say what this has caused though is poor marketing, and it has also caused sloppiness of a lot of agents.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get away with that though anymore. Like you have to market your properties correctly, and you have to be in contact, and you have to price them correctly. Do you remember like back in prime COVID? I remember Marty Eilers.
Marty Eilers, shout out the Eilers. How is your day going, Marty?
Are you having a
productive day?
Are you having a good day?
That's PT, do you even know what we're talking about?
No clue.
Okay, we'll tell you later.
So it's one of those where he would always joke. He would pull the comps and he would say, I just tack like 10 grand onto it. I mean, that this market's so crazy. That was back in like 2021. But obviously we're in a really good market for sellers right now still, but it's not as crazy as it was in 2021. The problem is when you price the properly, when you price the
like
property incorrectly now and it's on the market for more than a couple of weeks, everybody wonders what's wrong with it. So it's so important that you do your homework and you're the expert.
Well, my question is if you're an agent and you decide, like, you tell your seller that it's time for a price reduction, how do you determine it's time for a price reduction? Like, what's your process? Because if you don't have a process and how you determine, other than the fact that it's been on the market for 2 weeks and you haven't got an offer, that's not necessarily a process of how you determine, So what was one of the things that we used to do when to determine a price reduction back in the day? What was our
10
rule?
showings.
Or
I have no idea.
It used to be either 10 showings or 30 days is when we would then 10 showings with no offers, right?
And
then we would reconvene.
30-day thing was not like a requirement.
No. It was just like, that's kind of like, okay, if we reach the 30-day mark,
that we need to reevaluate,
or we've had 10 showings, then we need to reevaluate. Are we still positioned correctly in the market? It didn't necessarily mean that we needed to drop the price, right? It was just time to analyze it and make sure that you're positioned correctly.
Well, and what do we always, present too? So when we, determine value on a particular, house, and we're sending over, say, our CMA or our market evaluation. And, what do we always tag on that email is that, this could change within a month's time, right? Just because there could be more sale comps, there could be more active competition. And so that's how quickly, something could change within the market in different price ranges.
We had an agent the other day say to one of our agents in our office, they had presented an offer, and she said, it was like the first couple days on the market, and the offer was extremely low. And the agent's a very experienced agent who sells a lot and knows what she's doing and learning every day. And she knew the house was priced aggressively. In other words, she had, not pushed the envelope at all. Definitely, and she'd had a bunch of activity on it. And so she says to the other agent, she says, well, I don't understand. Like, you understand? Like, did you pull the comps? And oh no, I wasn't really sure exactly how to do that. Could you just send me the comps you used to price it?
Oh.
I mean, what?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean,
how do you write an offer?
Clients are back to, they understand. Now, they watch the news a lot, and the news always is national, right? So it's not necessarily localized, and they hear that the real estate market's slowing down a lot. And that's not true in the Quad Cities, but that might be true in a totally larger metropolitan area. So our job is we've got to be advisors to our clients, right? We're not just door openers. The reason why they're hiring us is they want leadership. They want us to tell them what's going on in the market. And the agents that don't have the data, that don't do the research, that don't listen to the podcast, that don't work the business, they're the ones that are going to have major issues.
Well, and one thing that comes to mind too, when we talk about professionalism and advice and so forth, there's always a fine line between confidence and cocky, but ego and so forth. But people are going to take your recommendations or your professional opinions a lot more seriously when you are confident. You're presenting that in a way that you believe what you're showing them, right? And so that comes with that component as well. Professionalism is one, having your client's best interest in mind, but also confidence that it's the right decision.
Well, and that goes hand in hand with, when you're saying that, it goes hand in hand with the value proposition when you go to interview for a listing, right? As an agent. See, this is just so weird. I have to pick this up. So I'm sorry
I
about
wish
all
you guys could all see this.
Maybe they can. Maybe they're going to tune into YouTube just because of me and my
this.
microphone. Just me and my microphone. Anyway, okay. So when you are an agent and you're going to go on a listing appointment and you're sitting down and you're going through those numbers and you're showing them what it is that you're going to do for them, right? Like you just said, you have to be able to not defend that, right? I think defend's the wrong word, but support it. Why do you feel that way? Same thing if you're an agent and you're going to represent a buyer and you sit down for a buyer consult, right? You need to understand to be able to explain to the buyer why they should hire you, what the value is in doing that, right? And along with both of those things comes a fee, right? And a lot of times buyers or sellers will sometimes, hey, is this negotiable? Or, hey, would you do it for this? And Brad, what's your line? I wouldn't, right?
But no, would you do this? If they are asking you the question, I would.
Are you going to discount your fee for me?
Oh, I won't.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I was like, wait, I'm confused. But I think that goes hand in hand with what you just said, PT, in regards to if you're an agent and you cannot do those things effectively for your buyer or your seller in the interview part of the process, how do you think that they feel about how you're going to be able to do a good job for them when an offer comes in and it's lower than what you've told them the house is worth? And it's not about getting in a big match back and forth with the agent about why it's worth, not worth, but like you should feel very confident.
Actually, we're getting to the confidence part.
Yeah, you should feel confident in that so that you can, that if
you're the expert.
Yeah, if you don't take that offer or you advise your client not to take that offer, you're confident in telling them that because you did the homework, right?
Yep.
But unfortunately, I don't think that happens a lot. And I feel like I'm doing maybe you're going to get to this, but I feel like too, like if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do those things, right? It's okay, guys. Like if you got in the industry and you didn't have a good mentor or a good leader or a good trainer, or you weren't in an environment that helped you with that, it's okay. You've only been in the business for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
There's still time. Just find a new environment, find a different, person, a mentor, a trainer, go do the work so that you can be better if this is a career that you want to. There's nothing that says that just because you haven't maybe done it right the last few years doesn't mean you can't do it right.
Yeah,
right?
You're always trying to get better. So in the
PT
current
had
market,
something very pressing to say. I could tell.
Sorry, PT, go ahead. No,
he got that face.
There's just so many different levels of service offered in multiple different realms of service, right? So, but you want to have or charge the highest amount and reflect that highest service, right? And that's where all of this comes into play, is that you have to put all these out on the table in order to get what you want. And if you aren't doing something, if you're not communicating, or if you're, this is a hot button for some people, but not dressing to the part, you are automatically setting yourself down for a lower viewed service.
Of course. And a lot of that comes down to confidence and practice, right? Of how to talk to people in this business. That's why our little contest that we're having at the office, challenge that we're having at the office is so big. So
it's not why it's not a contest?
Why?
Because we're not going to gauge their like how many sales or whatever. It's based upon their actions are how they are going to win prizes and be considered successful.
Yeah, you think of like,
doing the work.
So a contest is like, you're going against other people.
Who's winning?
Challenge really is it's self, self motivated.
Like you played baseball, PT. I mean, you could go to the batting cages and practice and practice and practice. Just because you didn't hit a home run in the game doesn't mean you weren't good at practicing and trying to get better, right?
That's exactly right.
Run the plays.
So
run the plays.
Getting back to the return of the professional agent, what is it right now? What kind of agent is struggling in this current market?
Oh boy. There could be multitudes of things, but the first word that comes to my mind is just a lazy agent, right? It's the one that's not communicating.
Order taker.
Yes, exactly. The one that's not taking the extra time to sit down with somebody in potentially a buyer's consult or a listing consult. So yes, the door opener, the lazy agent.
Well, and when we talk about, people are like, oh, AI is going to take over our jobs.
Nope.
There's no going to be realtors anymore because AI
so
stands
the
for
internet. Right.
Right. Artificial intelligence, right? This is a people business, right, Brad?
That's right.
But the thing is, you guys should really try this with the microphone.
I think it looks ridiculous, but hey,
it's so much more fun to talk like this. Okay, but wait.
You do you.
But wait. So the reason why is because AI is going to take over certain components of our business. And I think, there already is opportunities where people can go and view homes. They don't need an agent to view the home, right? Like to open the door. Like there's different markets where, you put your ID in, you get a little code, you get to go check it out. And then great, but they still need an agent to advise them, right, on that property and how to make an offer and why it's a good investment or not a good investment. So that's the thing that again, you have to your value is not in opening the door or answering the phone and, pulling an MLS number.
Right, exactly. And, putting out the fires left and right. If someone needs to see a property at 9 p.m. at night, there's no value in that. That's what we think. There's, that's a very easy mindset to me, is that's what people think they value, but they don't.
I would argue that, and it took me a while to learn this because I used to jump for everybody.
That's because we were broke, Brad. You got in the business and got married, and the market crashed. So you did have to jump for everybody. Let's just qualify.
But when you don't do that, they look at you as more of, he's a professional. Like, I mean, he has hours. He's not just going to jump. I mean, how would that make you feel comfortable if you called your doctor at 9:00 at night and said, I really have a little bit of a cough, and then he calls you back like right away? No, I mean, that's not an emergency. So it's one of those where I really think that if you run it like a business, which a lot of agents don't, then these clients will also look at you as more of a business person, not a door opener.
I agree with what you're saying. I guess the only point I'm trying to make on that, and I agree, but like if you're just starting your business though, I do think you have to be a lot more
100%.
available.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what we talked about in a previous podcast. Just because you answer the phone and they want to see a house, if they're being,
you run out
right, if they're being jerks and you're not connecting with them and you yes, you don't need to be, you're not a, what is it, a Pop-Tart?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. What is one...
Right? Do you know what a Pop-Tart is?
Yeah, I know what a Pop-Tart is.
What is one trait that a really good agent has to have right now?
Communication.
Love it.
Communication skills, yeah. And I think knowledge as well. I think this is a very not intricate, complicated market. I think, especially in a market like ours. I mean, we operate in 2 states. We have, last year, as a group, our, lowest price point, I think we sold something that was like 40 or 60 grand, and our highest was like 2.8 million.
Yep. All over the board.
And people always say, oh, so you only are a luxury agent, or, oh, you only work with investors. The crazy part is in our market, you can't necessarily specialize in one niche because there's just not enough business if this is truly what you do for your full-time career. Right. Yeah. So I think that, I think you have to really, hunker down and learn the market and stay on top of it. I think that's important.
I totally do too. And you'll love this one, Andrea.
I will, as much as this microphone in my hand.
Yeah.
Just try it.
I'm trying not to look. All right.
You got to take it, push it no, but you got to hold it like this, like it's a stand.
So really the big deal too is it's not only communication, but also processes, right?
I would agree.
Those are huge. That a lot of real estate agents, they don't have any processes, and it's just a gigantic mess when they meet with clients, and there's no planning, there's nothing. And clients understand that when they see that, when you're disheveled and you're not organized, you want to be put together and confident. And that's done by good communication skills and a good process.
Well, like we talk about this all the time, but it is literally, and even now,
I can't hold it like that too much.
You got to just take the bottom like it's like a popsicle. You have to, and I'll say, I definitely am still involved in the day-to-day sales, but not to the level that I used to be. PT and Brad are definitely more hands-on with that. And then Nikki, our client experience partner. And so it's a little bit easier for me because I'm not as in the emotional part side of it, things or whatever. But I sometimes will even say, because one of you will call me or something, or there'll be a group text, with a client, and I'll just remind them, I'm like, hey, just remember, like, their husband just passed away, or, they're moving out of the area and they didn't plan to move out of the area, and they have kids they have to pull out of school and whatever. And so I think sometimes that, I think that's also a thing that makes you a professional agent, is you remember that it's your job to be that calming voice, that person. And going back to what you said about processes, when you have a process and you can lay that out for your buyer or seller, then that's making them feel more confident. It's making them feel more at ease. It's just like you said, you go to a doctor, right? If they're just like, yep, we'll see you here on Monday at 9, we're going to take out that cancer lump. Okay, see you then.
No, you want a little bit of an
you want to know what's going on so you can feel comfortable.
And the time frame. I totally agree with all that.
So
PT's got notes. I love PT's always got such good things to say.
It's because PT's so far away. I can see when he's ready to talk.
Here's the problem: is I'm at the other end of the table. So, all right, PT.
But you need a popsicle.
The last thing that I want to say about this too is something that I wrote down is unique, right? And it's not that you're unique because you show up on billboards and you have this beautiful pink binder that you bring to your consultations and stuff, but you're doing the things that a lot of people don't do. And the craziest thing is the most simple things. It's communicating. It's reassuring people. It's all the things that we're talking about right now. Unique is it can be misunderstood. It's like you're not the flashiest person in the world. You just do things that other people don't. You write handwritten notes, and that's what makes you unique.
Yeah,
I saw something on social media just to that exact. I should have saved it, but it literally was that. Like, typically speaking, the people that are the most prominent on social media, like, not always. There's a couple people in our marketplace that are phenomenal on social media and influencers, and they also kill it in the business. But typically speaking, the people that you're seeing that have all the time to do all of that and are all over social bragging and they're typically not really selling much business. True. So, there's nothing unique about that. Anybody can.
I would like you to read this line, either Andrea.
Did that make any sense?
No, it does. That's what we've been talking about the last 2 episodes, is that people, it's
you want me to read?
Stuff.
I have my readers. I can read.
Goes right off.
Professionalism is not flashy. It is trust.
It's all we've said in one package, right? And that's like the hardest thing for us to really get the thought process, is that we always think, how do we do the next thing that's outside of the box?
Yep.
And Brad says this all the time: back to the basics.
Yep.
That's the most important thing.
Well, and what is Tamir, the CEO, our CEO of Real? Like, we love him, and one of his one of the things that he says all the time is that he wakes up in the morning, every single morning, and he thinks about how it is that he can make the lives of the agents at Real better, right?
Yep.
And I think that if you're a realtor and you're truly doing this and you want to be a professional agent and grow your business and gain that trust with your buyers and sellers, then I think what you need to be doing is every day waking up thinking, hey, how can I better myself in this industry? How can I perfect my processes? How can I do all those things to make the experience of buying and selling or building a home with me as their agent better for my client?
Yeah, no, I really think that's perfect. Let's go to the discussion of commission. So
get your popsicle.
I have a question, PT.
Yep.
Out of all the listing appointments you've ever been on with me, how many times has a seller ever said, no, I'm not going to pay that?
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon.
And the reason why is clients pay you not to open doors, not to do these little acts of,
acts. Do you dance?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not to, be an order taker is what I meant to say. They pay you that they want your judgment.
Sure.
Right. And how you prove your judgment is you come prepared. You're the professional. And then you just say what you charge. And you'd be surprised how often you will never, ever get any clients that say, no, I'm not going to pay that.
And there are always,
as long as it's reasonable.
Yeah, and there's always the ones that, we just talked about levels of service. They aren't looking for your high level of professional service, and that's okay. And we just say, that's
not
okay.
the right fit.
Yeah, it's not the right fit.
I mean, did you ever meet a girl or whatever, and you thought you wanted to date her, but then you realized you didn't want to date her?
Oh yeah.
You guys, when we listen to this back, as great as this popsicle is, I think that it's gonna sound weird. You hear that little sound?
Probably. Yeah.
All right, I better set it down.
All right, we just have a couple more things here. So why is this a good market for professional agents? What is it that's happening now while you're seeing the cream rise to the top?
I think a couple of things. So the national media is pushing this narrative that slower markets and so forth. So people are more aware that it's a little bit more of a challenging market. It's a more skill-based market, right? So we're seeing more. We're seeing more consumers interview multiple people, and they're actually doing more due diligence than they have in the past. So with that being said, you see the cream rise to the top because those are the people that are winning every single time if they're in competition for a listing or to represent as a buyer's agent. The professional agents always win.
Love it.
Well, and I agree with that 100%. And I just posted this stat, I think, on my story. Keeping current matters posted. I believe the stat was last year, 91% of people used a realtor to sell their home. And then the other stat, and I can't remember the percentage. It was maybe that one was 91% of people who sold their home on their own dropped their price at least once while they were listed, which if you think about that for a minute, that doesn't seem significant to some of you, right? But it was 2024. Pretty much everything was selling at list price right away or multiple offers. So the fact that just proves, right, the value that someone who understands the market, knows what they're doing, and knows how to market the property and price it correctly for the market.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I've read in several sources where for sale by owners are currently at a near all-time low.
Correct.
And we see it and we feel it though. Like it's become more and more evident as ever. And actually I'm going through a transaction where there's a for sale by owner on the other side. And
he's kind of rolling his eyes a little bit.
I pray for you, PT.
It's tough because we have this service mentality inside of us that, you just know that they have zero knowledge of what is going on the other side. And it's funny because I was talking to my clients the other night. I'm like, it's a tough spot because I can't say anything to them. I know something should be said, but I can't because I'm fully representing you. And so, there's different ways that we have to approach this. But it's very evident and we're seeing less and less of it now.
Yeah, no, we absolutely are. No, that's very good.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Even for showings that you go on, how often are there for sale by owners on the list of the properties that you're viewing? And it's not because we don't show them, because we're professional agents. So we look at everything that's on the market to make sure we're showing our clients the properties that they want to see. But it's just because there's just not as many of them right now. I think a lot of that, boils down to the Transparency Act and the NAR, lawsuit or whatever that came down in August of 2024, because now, which they always had. I mean, that's what I think is funny, right? I mean, sellers and buyers always had options. Sellers more so, I think, because it was very transparent to them how everything worked. But I mean, even more so now, right? Like, you can hire a listing agent. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to pay a buyer's agent a set amount or even anything, right? If you don't want to, and the offer doesn't make sense. And on the flip side of that, as a buyer, up front if you want to hire someone, what you're going to pay. So if a for sale by owner, if they don't want to pay, you help to pay for your agent, then you don't have to look at their property. So I think it just changes the dynamic of the marketplace.
Totally. Okay, last question.
Dun, dun, dun.
What is one thing, and I want all of us to answer this, what is one thing that agents should do differently this year, 2026?
Stop being weird.
Well, I've been saying that since
Just
I got
kidding. I'm not going to use
in the
that
business 25 and a half years ago, Andrew.
Actually, you say stop being goofy.
Well, true.
I would say the biggest thing for me is more of on an agent to agent level. And maybe it's a little bit more prominent in our market, the things that we're going through, new MLS and so forth. But just, you know, be kind, right? Be helpful, and to the extent that you can, right? And be understanding about different situations. We've talked about this over and over again as well. But an agent to agent relationship is almost important as an agent to consumer relationship, totally. Because ultimately our job at the end of the day, not only is to represent our clients, but make sure that the transaction goes fairly smoothly. And so what I would say is just be kind and work hard.
Love that.
I've never heard that slogan before, PT. I agree with what you just said, PT, 100%. And I think that the other thing about that too is, especially with, I just want to add to PT's before I say mine, that I think that with all the confusion, right, in the marketplace in regards to, the NAR lawsuit, how all those things changed, previously COVID, the prices. I think what your whole point of this whole podcast, Brad, is we have a lot of newer agents that got in the business that maybe weren't trained the correct way. And I think that if you are one of those agents, you also have to, going back to having the good agent relationship, understand that if you have a more seasoned or experienced agent that's trying to help you through, or maybe I hate using the word correcting, but advising you not on your transaction, but how maybe something you're doing wrong. It's about protecting the public, right? It's about looking out for the public, because at the end of the day, that's what our job is to represent our clients, buyers and sellers, and protect them as best we can in the real estate space. So I think that's just something to add to that, because I think sometimes people get, oh, well, how dare that person, tell me that I did that wrong or I shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, but if it's confusing the general public, it's a problem.
Sure.
And you should learn. So that's my only addition to that. What do I think? I think it's just, well, we talk about this all the time. I think you just more than ever need to treat being a real estate agent as a business. It's not as a part-time job, because that's not representing your client. Not as something that you're just making some extra money for, a vacation that you want to go on next year, or your wedding that you're going to overspend on. Like, legitimately discerning and thinking, is this what I want to do? Why do I want to do it? What's my intention? Like, about behind that. And then if you really truly want to do it because this is obviously the best career in the world and unlimited potential, then I think you just really have to make sure that you know how to do it correctly and represent your client correctly. So
that's such a huge thing, and it's such an empowering thing too. You want to go from a realtor to a business owner, and that changes your mindset in a whole different. It's almost mind blowing. It's like the light bulb above the head and all of it. But that's like the ultimate goal at the end of the day for you is stop being the order taker and become a business owner.
Well, and not to, the crazy thing is not to go change the topic of this podcast, but I mean, we've all talked about this before. I mean, I think the biggest thing on that topic for us is making the move that we made to real in 2023, because I think that in a traditional brokerage model, that is kind of your mindset, right? Because it's just you're being compared to everyone else based upon how many deals you did and how much volume you sold, and that's what everything is based on, right? I think that when you transition to a model like a real broker or something similar, like, it just all of a sudden it's like this explosion in your brain of, wow, this is really my business, right? Mm-hmm. There is a broker that is supporting me in that, but this is really my business. And real does that more than anything else. And I think that's what's changed all of our mindset on that, because we truly understand it is a business and it is our brand. And that's why we have to do things differently. And we have these opportunities, but real is 100% the catalyst in the last 3 years for us in that.
I would agree. So I'm going to kind of tie this all together. My word is professionalism. which would be what you said
the
and
top
what
of your
you said.
page.
And that includes, getting everything tightened up, right? So learning how to talk to people properly, being prepared, working hard, being kind, treating it like you all said, like a business. That's what this is, and that's what the clients want. And we're getting back into that era where the clientele, your clients, what they want is they want a professional, and that's who they are going to hire.
And I'll tell you what, like, that's just kind of making me slightly emotional when you're saying that, because I'm thinking about all the growth in our office and Buy Sell Build QC that we've seen, and the agents that have been with us now since the beginning, and also some that, recently got licensed last year that have really just showed up. They want to learn everything they can.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, they come to, the people that have been this longer asking for advice and learning. And I just think that it just makes me excited to know that, like, that's the next generation of realtors for, like, PT. You're a perfect example of that. Just watching you grow and, like, be where you are now and seeing how your business has continued to grow, and how you're so awesome when you talk to people now. Like, I mean, we should play, we should do a podcast where we play a couple of your early conversations.
Well,
should have been like the childhood days, video everything. And
well, if you would have seen, well, we have all seen my very first video that I did take a tour Tuesday back in the day. It was pretty rough.
We got to break that down.
We all learn and we all get better.
Do that someday for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's what it is. It's that is just such a cool thing. Again, and I'm going to send that all the way back again to real, because it creates that culture where it's collaboration over competition and trying to help everybody get better and become a more professional agent and grow their business. And so this was a really good topic, Brad.
It has been a great topic, and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, and there's different ways to look at professionalism too. Like you think, okay, yeah, professionalism, straight up and, tight-lipped and all that stuff. But no, there's multiple layers on how to be a professional, and people do it in different ways too, which,
everybody's got their own style.
That's right.
Yep. Love it.
100%.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.